Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have a chance, head down in the show notes and check out all our links to everything, super fun things in YouTube and Instagram. And if you could, please be so generous to leave us a review on iTunes. Ariel, every 5 minutes, a family has a child who gives up the nap. Think of those children, but more importantly, think of those parents.
Yes, it's a rough time.
Our child lost her nap about 1.5 years ago, pretty much right at the beginning of this podcast when we started.
Yeah, she was almost 5 though, so I really felt like, that was
pretty good.
That was pretty awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
I feel like the younger one, she's 2, not quite 2.5. I feel like she's going to give it up before she's 3. She's just not going to.
Yeah, you know how it's like there's race cars that run on gasoline, and then there's like dragsters that run on nitro. My nitro baby, she ain't going to hold on to the nap for very much longer.
I don't think she is either.
She's not going to do it anymore. Today we wanted to talk a lot about this idea that I think we've talked about in the past with a couple of our guests, and we've mentioned a few times in passing, I think, in a few of our earlier podcasts. But it's this idea that we wanted to focus on is the quiet time.
Right. When your babies aren't napping anymore, we're very busy as homeschoolers. We are way overscheduled. We're doing lots of things, and it's something that we don't usually make time for to plan in quiet time. And so, this episode is our argument for considering adding quiet time into your regular routine, why it's important, and, some of our ideas for, how you can start implementing it.
So the first thing that we want to do is maybe properly define what we mean by quiet time. So is this the Jared Leto, the yoga retreat, silent yoga retreat? Is this the Matthew Booza goes and stays at a tiny house on the side of a lake for 3 days and doesn't speak? Is this what we're talking about quiet time?
So, we can all have our own definitions, but
maybe I'm requesting a dadcation. Can I put that into my
hey,
manager?
We already have one planned for this fall.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So, quiet time, it's a short period, preferably each day, that you and your children do independent activities quietly. That's, kind of in a nutshell what we're looking at. So this isn't a time to do any kind of group play typically.
Or active play, like they're running around or doing anything.
Right.
Else.
This isn't time for active play. It's not time for group play. It's not time for screens.
Yes.
For toddlers, this could be that you're together in the same room with them. Maybe you're reading quietly while they're playing on the floor quietly.
Exactly.
Or encouraged to play quietly. We have a toddler, so we know how that goes. Quiet time can be anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, depending on the age and the personality of your kiddos.
Well, and also
some kids need more quiet time.
Yeah. And also how does your, what are you trying to accomplish within your family? How can your family absorb certain things? Sometimes you may not be able to do 2 hours, or it might only be a half hour, may only be 45 minutes. Some families just may not be able to handle that length of time. So it is dependent on, what you and your family can handle, what your learner can, focus on and do.
Right. Some kids really benefit from having, a full 2 hours for themselves. It's great for mindfulness, and
in some respects, it's almost a replacement of the nap time.
Yes, right? It's a relaxing time. And other kids just, our daughter is more in the 45 to an hour stage. Our 6-year-old, anytime after that, she starts to get really bored, starts looking for things. But that 45 minutes to an hour, she really. That's our sweet spot. So you have to find your own sweet spot with your kids of how long is appropriate for them to feel recharged, and not for it to be something that they look forward to, and not something, I don't want to do quiet time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now that we've got quiet time kind of defined, what makes it so important? Why is it so important, for the child to do this type of thing?
So quiet time is really important because more than anything, it provides opportunities. So it provides an opportunity for our kids to rest if they want to take a nap. There are days still when our 6-year-old, she really needs a nap. There are days, I'm sure, when older kids too, maybe they've had a couple of days where things were at an 11, and you were out and very busy, and maybe you had family visiting or, birthday parties to go to or whatever on the weekend. And it's like, now you're getting back into your routine. They might need that extra nap. So,
or they're getting over a cold or something.
Right.
Nature, yeah.
If you tell them to go upstairs and take a nap, I mean, good luck to you, right? Our 6-year-old's going to be like, I don't need to take a nap. But instead, we say, well, it's part of your quiet time, and give yourself the opportunity to listen to your body and rest if your body needs to rest. And that's just a much more amenable way that we can put it to our daughter for her to not close herself off to the idea. Because the moment that we say, we can see she's like literally drooping, and like an unwatered flower, and we can see she needs a nap. But if I told her that she needed to go take a nap, that's the last thing she would ever do. So provides that opportunity for rest.
How about a recharge? Like for introverted kids, maybe they've had a really
Absolutely.
busy day at the co-op or out with their friends. It's been really stimulating, a lot of play, a lot of interaction, a lot of, maybe even had a very stimulating day if you took them to the museum or the park or something of that nature.
Right. This is a great opportunity that your kids might not otherwise have to recharge their batteries. Even if your child's not introverted, but like you said, they had a big day. Sometimes what we see happen, especially like when our daughter goes to stay with my parents, for example, every day is really stimulating for her, and she comes home and she like has the worst behavior. She won't listen. She's fighting with her sister. You can tell that she's not in balance. Mm-hmm. So those are days when we like lean into like 2 hours of quiet time because we really need it. But this is that opportunity to recharge, for them to have a little bit of mindfulness time. And kind of reset. So that's the other really great thing about quiet time. It also gives them some unstructured time where our kids can explore some new things that might interest them that they might not otherwise have time for. Sometimes, we talk about this where you feel almost like you're the cruise director for the day because the kids are like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah.
And as much as we do try to plan in time during the day for them to have unstructured play, that is still time when they're together. And so like for our daughter, there's a lot of things she's interested in that we cannot do with a 2-year-old. That, she wants to set up a marble run, or, she wants to play with Lego or do a craft or do something that's just, color with markers, whatever. That's totally, the 2-year-old's going to be all over that. And so this is a time where she can do the things that interest her. She can explore. There's no pressure. She's by herself. If she wants to practice reading, she can do that. This is time where she can really feel that freedom to exercise what might interest her, to try new things. It's a very low pressure.
Yeah, to fail at something. I've sometimes seen artwork being able to be done in that time frame that maybe she can try multiple times.
Yeah, she can take chances. Yeah. Nobody is watching, so especially, if you have a kid who could sometimes get like, we have performance kind of anxiety happen in our daughter. And so we will ask her as part of quiet time to do some reading. And we don't always dictate what she reads, but just read to yourself, practice some reading, because we know it's a time when she can do that. And she can, she can not be under pressure. Now we don't tell her to do very much because we want most of her quiet time to be unstructured and free. But sometimes we do leverage a little bit of that for, practice and things that might otherwise, she might otherwise feel pressure about.
The other thing too that I've noticed with the unstructured time for quiet time is also the idea of being bored. I've actually
so valuable.
I've run into this a lot in the last few weeks with both kids, actually. Having the ability to come up with their own play without me being there. I think they've been leaning on me a lot lately to be that source of, okay, what are we doing next? Like kind of what you said with the cruise director. I've noticed that is a big thing. And I've noticed in the quiet time, having her be able to go out and have to fill that void herself has been helpful. Getting her to figure out what she wants to do, giving her the right to be bored. And sometimes she wants me to tell her what to do. And she gets a little frustrated that I say, no, I'm not going to tell you.
Right. Being bored is the time when our kids are at their most creative. They have time to plan, to create, they can make decisions about their time. It's really valuable to make sure that they have this time to be bored, to be unstructured, to make their own decisions about how they're going to spend their time.
And a lot of times it's kind of funny. It's like you're watching a ball try to find a rut to get into and get excited about. And sometimes they hop and they bounce around.
Right. She may try several different activities before she comes up with the one that she wants to do.
Yeah. But then all of a sudden she'll get into it and then she'll be locked in. And
right.
then you can't pull her out of it. And those are the type of things that I want to cultivate during this quiet time. We'll go into what those different things are, but having her be able to find that on her own, I think, is a nice skill for her to learn. Right.
And as you say, getting into this deep dive is kind of the last thing we wanted to talk about when it comes to real benefits of quiet time. It is allowing kids to do the deep dive and not get pulled out of it because of younger siblings running around, or, oh, we got to leave for gymnastics or whatever. They can actually have the time to really get into something without any interruptions, really get into the zone.
It's not also a benefit, it's not just a benefit for the younger student, but it is also potentially a benefit for us as parents, us as educators.
Oh, yeah.
The household. It gives the house time to breathe.
Gives us time to breathe.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the times when we're doing quiet time, we try to time that with the nap of our younger one. It does allow the house to get quiet, allows me to go get a workout in. That's one thing that I like to do.
Allows me to do the dishes.
Yeah.
It allows me sometimes to just breathe, read a chapter of my book and recharge my own batteries. There are days, as much as we love homeschooling our children, there are days when it is absolutely draining. Today is a great example. Our younger daughter is sick. She's just got a regular cold, but she's coughing a lot and she's crying. And our older daughter is going through this big whiny phase. She cried on my shoulder earlier because I wouldn't order English muffins online. I've never ordered English muffins online. Just want to set the record straight. But
maybe she got a hold of the Wolferman's catalog.
That's exactly what we were looking at, the Wolferman's catalog. But your mom always gets us English muffins from Wolferman's every year. Anyway, they're always delicious. But she's like, we need to order them for everybody. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to actually go and buy gifts or whatever. She was so upset about it.
It's also the bunny one too.
Right. She cried on my shoulder while I was working. I'm working remotely from home. She sobbed on my shoulder. My entire shoulder was soaking wet because I wouldn't buy our bunny 2 days ago. And so, there are days when we just ourselves need quiet time to happen so that we as parents can just get a moment's freaking peace to just sit and just be in silence.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I mean, I saw that look on your face today when you came back from parent partnership where you were just like, I might murder some children, as much as, we love our kids. I could see this look and I was like, Daddy's going to go have some quiet time right now. Mommy's going to feed you lunch, because I could just tell that you were done. The baby's been crying.
She went up early, and then the older one came in.
The older one came in because she
had a nightmare.
Right. At 5 a.m. she comes in because she has a nightmare about dinosaurs having a war in our house.
And then the baby, and then I had to go parent partnership. And I was like assistant kindergarten principal to
your assistant kindergarten volunteer teacher. Person. And it was just like overkill.
Then I went to the store, and that was actually pretty peaceful. But yeah.
There's points where we hit our limit. So quiet time is not just about them. It's about us to have a cup of coffee, plan what you're going to do for the afternoon, read a book, take a small nap, do some housework. This is time for us. We can think, we can plan, we can rest. We can also really, sometimes I find that, it's not till late at night when you're sitting and recounting your homeschool day that you've actually had a chance to stop and take stock of what happened during the lessons, right? So this also gives you an opportunity for some, mindfulness about how did lessons go this morning? How are my kids doing? What do they need from me this afternoon after quiet time? Do we need to change the plan that I had for the rest of the day? It's just a good, partway break through the day to think about that.
Well, yeah, a lot of times, something that I'm always doing is I'm thinking about how am I going to approach the rest of the afternoon? How am I going to approach the evening? Do I have to get dinner? Do I have to go to gymnastics with the older one? When are you getting off of your, out of your off, coming out of the office and things of that nature? What am I going to do with the older one? What's the weather look like? Do I need to go to the park? I'm always thinking about those things, and this gives me a little bit of time to do that.
Right. It gives us some space to breathe and think. So we've talked about quiet time as being in the afternoon. Obviously, for us, this works out really nicely because this is when our younger child naps. But just to clarify, quiet time can be whenever it works best for your family.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't probably do it like first thing in the morning, right when they wake up, because you're not. Some of these opportunities for rest and recharge and relaxation, can't really happen if you do it first thing in the morning because you haven't had a chance to get into it yet. But I know some families that do a quiet time just before lunch or just after lunch, or or you could do it at 4:00 every day. You could make quiet time the time when you prepare dinner every night. Right? Maybe that's the time when you want your kids to be doing their own thing so that you have a chance to get a meal prepared. Right? So make this time whatever is right for you and right for your kids. And you might have to do some trial and error with playing around with when and how long you use quiet time.
Absolutely. So, they're sitting there. They're like, okay, Ariel, Matt, we get it. You like quiet time. You love it. I want it. How can I do it? How can I put this in my homeschool? How do I start?
So it's really tough. If your child's napping and then they drop a nap, it's easy to continue the quiet time. So that's the easiest way to go.
Yes.
Don't miss that opportunity. But if you haven't done that and your child already dropped their nap, or if you've gotten out of the habit of quiet time, occasionally we get out of the habit ourselves of quiet time and we always regret it. And then we have to follow these steps to get back into it because our kids are resistant at first. Our older daughter is resistant of going back and doing quiet time. I don't need quiet time. And so we have to start this again whenever we let it lapse.
Your answer tells me that is not true.
I mean, sometimes between visiting my parents and being busy with other stuff and school and didn't get enough of our homeschool done, there could be a week where we don't do quiet time, and boy, do we regret it. So if you're just starting this or just getting back into it, we recommend that you just start small. So take 15 to 20 minutes for a slightly older child, or maybe 10 minutes if you have a toddler. Just something that's really achievable. This would be a slow process where you're going to start there and then every day kind of work it up until a little bit longer until you find the right amount of time. But, start small. Yep. So add it to your visual calendar as well. So if you've got a calendar for the day up on the wall, you got a whiteboard or a family calendar or something, make sure your kids know it's there. The worst thing to do is have your kids be playing or something after lunch, and then for you to announce everyone has to stop their games. It's time for quiet time, because everybody hates that, right? Having it on the schedule of saying, hey, you can play for 30 minutes. And then at the end of that, you see what's on next. It's quiet time. Gets everybody ready for what's going to be coming, and you'll have less pushback if they know it's there.
I've noticed it works really well for us to do it on a transition point. So quiet time for us is always at the end of our kind of mid-afternoon homeschooling run. Right when I put the little one down, I do about a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour of homeschool. When that is done, it's 2:00, 2:15. It's a perfect time for my older one to go and do her quiet time, whatever that might be. And it's, that's typically the time I go out and maybe get my workout in, or I go and do some reading or do a little bit of writing. It's a great transition time because, like what you said, she's not playing, she's not doing something exciting. It's not something that she's having a play date with a friend or something like that, and I had to cut that short. It's something that we finish something, and it's naturally leading into the next thing, and that next thing is quiet time. And I always like to set the expectations, kind of what you said, put it on the calendar. If you don't have a calendar, I just like to lay out what's coming up. Hey, we're going to do these few things, and then it's going to be quiet time. And I'll let you do what you want during quiet time, but it's going to be quiet time. So she knows when we're done with homeschool, it's quiet time. And a lot of times she'll say, she'll have her preferred thing that she likes to do, and she'll get excited about quiet time. So like I like what you said, like always make it on a transition that is reasonable, that is logical. Don't take them out of the mid cycle of something that's exciting.
Right.
Or
They don't like that abrupt
Exactly.
change directions. You're gonna have a lot of pushback.
Yeah, like shut down the screens. It's time for quiet time.
Right, yeah. So definitely, for really young kids, think about getting like a toddler clock or a timer so that they can really see that there's still time remaining. The
Yeah.
worst thing that you can do, we definitely got into this when our daughter first dropped her naps, was we would say, okay, go upstairs, do quiet time, and then she would come out of her room like 20 minutes later. Is my time up? Is my time up? She kept, coming out. It's like, no, you're ruining the whole thing. Like, if mommy wanted to try to catch a 30-minute cat nap, it's being ruined. So what we ended up doing is getting a toddler clock, and we could basically say that while it's, this one was, while it was yellow, that was your time you had to be in quiet time. And when it goes off, you can come out, or if mommy comes get you. But that keeps them in their room or, wherever they're doing their quiet time, and knowing that they're still under quiet time rules. It works great for kids that are too young to use a clock. So you can really tell them like how long you expect. For toddlers, it's very visual to have color. So think about getting that, or if you have an older kid, you can even use a timer. That's fine too. Something that just makes sure that they don't jump out of quiet time too early and start kind of doing the, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we done yet? Is it done yet? Kind of thing. Because that'll drive you crazy. And it ruins the relaxation point of this.
Well, then also when the kid is coming out of quiet time, show interest in what they did, right?
Absolutely. How did you spend your time? And then they can share their experience with you. And so that helps them to know that you really care. You weren't just sloughing them off so you could take a nap, or you could read, or have a few minutes peace and have a cup of coffee.
Wait a minute, that's how I thought what we were doing. That's the whole point of this thing, right?
Well, yeah, we don't want to send this message to our kids that we are sending them away because we don't want to be with them, right? Quiet time has a purpose. It has a purpose for everyone, not just for them, but for you. And I think that's okay to, I think it's fine to admit, certainly. Yeah. It's important, not fine, it's important to tell our kids that we need quiet time too. That, as a person, I need this time of quiet and rest.
And you
that's fine. But take interest that they know that you're not just like, go away.
I heard it described once sort of in this way, is that you're teaching your child that you as a parent are, a free, independent person, just like they are. And you as a free and independent person not only deserve, but demand to have some time to yourself.
That's right.
And that should not be when they finally get put down to sleep at night. It can be during the day. And and that it's a courtesy that they need to learn that not everybody is at their beck and call. And these are those moments, I think, what you're saying here is that, I'm interested in what you're doing, but also I demand this time, not only for you, but also for myself. That,
right.
I need my own time.
As a person, I have needs.
I have needs as well, and
right.
I need my needs met.
And they're valid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do care about what you did, and I'm interested and excited about what you did. So we'll sit with our daughter and she'll go, oh, wow, I just built this new thing in Legos and I did this, and she'll spend 5 minutes telling us all about the Lego palace that she's built during her quiet time. And she's totally excited about that. And I think that just reinforces that this is a good time. Mm-hmm. This isn't a parental separation negative thing, right? This is a positive experience where she's getting to explore and discover new things. And we're excited and interested about that. So definitely be interested and ask those questions.
It's not... There will be blood. I've abandoned my child.
Right? Yeah, yeah. We want to be interested, of course. Of course, we're interested. Yeah. It just helps reinforce that quiet time is a good thing and isn't about mommy needing a minute. But sometimes it's about mommy needing a minute. But I want to send a positive message.
Well, and I found that the more you communicate with them, sometimes I'll tell her, hey, Daddy's a little tired today. Can you work with me? Or Daddy just, doesn't feel, revved up today. Can you, work with me? Give me a little bit of time. She's actually very responsive to that.
Absolutely. I think we got to be honest with our kiddos.
Yeah. And I think she's a very empathetic kid. So if you tell her, hey, I'm not feeling great about this thing, can you help me by giving yourself a little bit of time quiet so that I can do my own recharge? she's cool with that. She's like, yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, Dad.
That
like, really? Are you?
Yeah. This would be when you need extra quiet time.
Yeah,
There are
exactly.
days when we need extra time. Sometimes we'll like, I need 15 minutes and it's in the morning. And she's like, it's not quiet time yet. We're like, yeah, but I need 15 minutes of quiet time right now because I just need it. And it's important to have our own needs.
Exactly.
So, next tip for small children, consider busy boxes or bins so that they still have a choice in what to do, but you're helping them get started.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be really hard for young kids is like, to say, okay, it's not like I can just leave a 3-year-old in her room and say, okay, play for 30 minutes and be quiet. She's like, I don't know what to do. Right. So anyways, this is where it's really good to have a bin or a box. It's a great way to rotate your toys through too. If you have a lot of toys, we all have toys everywhere. I feel like I have toys coming out of my ears. It's a great way to rotate those in and keep things fresh. So it's exciting for them. You might, sit down in the room with your younger child, give them one of these busy bins to do, and then you have time to read and recharge yourself. So, kind of think about that, though, setting your younger kids up for success. The older ones, it's a little easier. They can go and find things to do. But for our younger kids, it's a little bit tough. So help them out.
Next one is introducing books and audiobooks. That has been a big thing for us.
Right. So books, audiobooks, calming music. You get that from the library.
Well, you also made our daughter a mixtape, 80s mixtape.
Yeah, but that's not one I would use during quiet time. So
she's rocking out to Madonna and Cyndi
we want
Lauper,
relaxed
right?
things. So whether it's some cool books maybe that you get from the library that you don't pull out other times, that you have maybe you have a quiet time book box or something that you pull out that they can read from. Or our daughter loves to listen to Harry Potter on audiobook, so she will sit and do some Lego and listen to Harry Potter, and that's her way of relaxing and having her quiet time, which is totally fine. I think that's great. So just think about, what other kind of, if your kids would not be overly stimulated by having music or audiobooks, that might be a great way to go. Sometimes we'll have our daughter just lay on her bed and listen to her audiobook, and sometimes she'll fall asleep because we know she's tired, and that's a great way to, have her wind down a little bit. So definitely do that.
So, for us, audiobooks is a big thing. What are some additional ideas that, people can take and maybe start with? A lot of times when you're doing these type of things, people will find out what works best for them, but sometimes they need to be pointed in some direction, and then maybe they find the right path from there. So what are a couple of additional items?
So just kind of some clarification things, some additional things. Quiet time can be inside their bedroom. It could be outside on the hammock. It could be laying in the grass.
Well, in the summer, you guys were doing that in the hammock, yeah.
Right. Wherever your kids are comfortable and safe. It doesn't have to be a go to your room situation. So just to clarify, you can have quiet time with several children and everybody be in the same room. Everybody picks a different area of the room and everyone's reading, or somebody's listening to an audiobook on headphones. Or playing or doing a puzzle. This doesn't have to be time apart necessarily. Do what works right for you. For us, the age of our kids, like especially our 6-year-old, she has to be kind of engaged in something, either on an audiobook or in her room, because otherwise she'll be asking us questions every 5 minutes. But depending on your kids, this doesn't have to be a solo thing. And think about this too. If you're on holiday or vacation or another super busy time when everyone is all together and you're all staying in a hotel room or something, you can't all get your own time. Think about even having family quiet time to allow everyone to recharge their batteries. So, everyone can read together with a cup of hot chocolate, or everyone does quiet art or puzzle while listening to an audiobook. Quiet time is more important than ever when you're that busy and, and your schedule is drastically changed from your routine. So just know that quiet time doesn't have to be a solo thing. You can take it with you. We do quiet time at Grandma's house. We go,
Yes.
Your parents live fairly close to us, like an hour away. And when we go there, we tend to kind of stay for the weekend. And we still do quiet time, even though we're at Grandma and Grandpa's, because it's so important for our kids that we take it with us. And in fact, we all do quiet time. That's time when you and your dad both read. Your mom and I like to do a puzzle, and our daughter plays quietly in her room, and the toddler naps. And that is quiet time, and we do it every afternoon, even when we're at grandma's house. So, take this on the road. Don't leave it behind at home, because it is still important. Another idea is, we talked about for younger kids that quiet time can replace the time that they were napping. For older kids, if you find that there isn't a good time in the afternoon, you're really busy all day, they've got lots of activities and things, and quiet time doesn't fit into the daytime very well, you might choose to make quiet time the time before bed. I've seen some families that have a lot of success with this, and they say, well, the hour before bedtime is our family quiet time. It helps kids to naturally get tired, and it's the right time for them to get ready for sleep. They can either play or read. It gets everybody wound down.
Well, and also might be a good time for mom and dad. Maybe mom came home from work or dad came home from work, and they want to just sync up together, and it's a good time to do that as well.
It's a good time to do that. Yeah, that hour before bed, it
God knows we can't talk at dinner with these kids.
Right. It helps it can help your kids, especially if you've got older kids that have trouble sleeping and things.
Yeah.
It can help your kids wind down. It's also a really great way to prevent overstimulation before bed. So we tend to like to have our kids play in the time between. Sometimes right after dinner, we'll watch a half hour Clone Wars or some sort of Bluey or something as a family. And then we try to let them play for about 45 minutes before the baby goes down to nap. And then we read with our older daughter till her bedtime. But there are times when we instead have chosen to watch a movie. And that means that they're getting this stimulation right up until bedtime. And boy, those are rough nights. So
I know. You would think we would learn.
You'd think you think we would do as we say and not as we do.
No.
But if you're a family that finds that you frequently have lots of stimulation going on before bedtime and it's causing your kids problems with going to sleep, maybe before bed quiet time is the way that your family needs to work, because then you can ensure that there won't be any screens or anything overstimulating for everybody to get their chance to wind down. So just another thought on quiet time if if that works for you. But these are our ideas. Let us know if you use quiet time in some other way. I mean, feel free to let us know. We love the idea of giving this space for ourselves and our kids. And we hope that you find this valuable. And if you haven't done quiet time, that you give it a chance. Start small. But I think, we firmly believe if you start this, you give it a try, that you'll really enjoy it and it'll be something that you'll stick with. And I think your kids in the long run will be happier that you did, because it'll give them the time and space to explore the things that are meaningful to them too, and recharge their batteries and things. It's good for everyone to have a little bit of rest time. So it's siesta time, right?
Yes, it's time for.
If we could just get it at work at about 2:00 in the afternoon when we're all getting droopy eyed, that would be great.
I agree with you. Yeah, no, I like it. I think a lot of this is already. A lot of people already understand this kind of implicitly when they're around kids a lot, that having some downtime is a good thing. But I really like, what you're saying is really schedule it in, make it a normal part of your homeschool life. I think you will see a lot of benefits incrementally over time, and also incrementally towards, a more dynamic experience for your learner.
Mm-hmm.
Having that ability to be bored and quiet and doing something that's focused, having all those opportunities in that slot of time on a daily basis is a wonderful skill. It also allows them to be a little bit more independent, and allows them to respect you as a person as well. I think all those things are so important, and I think they get neglected because, the first thing to die on the hill is us,
right?
And as we sacrifice everything for them. I can't write tonight, kids are crazy. I can't read today, kids are crazy. Homeschool ran over, no quiet time. I'll just go start making dinner. You always sacrifice yourself, and you always sacrifice that. Things along the day. And I really think these are one of the things that, it's important, as we have said, to make that part of your normal routine. And I think the benefits are there. We just have to make sure it's something that's repeatable, that we can do on a daily basis, even if it's small. Like what you said, start small. I think start small is always the the correct answer on everything, whether it's from investing or driving a motorcycle or
Dieting or anything.
dieting or
Start
anything.
small.
Start small. But, I think I really agree with you. 10, 15, 20 minutes as a way to start, get it up to an hour. For a six-year-old, an hour is just perfect. Sitting in, listening to an audiobook, playing some Legos gives her enough recharge for the rest of the day. So we always like to end this the same way we always do, is something that we're into. We're talking about Codables. Codable, the iPad app for, I think, Apple and Android phone.
Yeah, I think
so
it's
you
got
probably do it for
iOS
both.
and Android.
Well, we were introduced to this app through our parent partnership. One of the classes that our daughter is taking is robotics. Kindergartners, robotics, always got to get started early. As well.
She's loving it.
She's
It's
loving
a
it.
kindergarten level robot and coding class. And this is it's an app, and there's lots of great videos. It's got this little kind of fuzzy
Smeeborg, I think is
Smeeborg. Oh.
Smeeborg.
Oh, see, yeah, you've done it more than I have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little fuzzy guy, and he's the main little character, and it's basically a series of coding games. So there's a lot of really great tutorial videos that talk to your kids about basic coding concepts, conditional statements, and just really kind of the basics. And then there's these fun games where they basically have to pre-code the route that he's going to take.
Yeah.
And then once they've coded it, it's all touch screen, so they're touching the different arrows to prepare how Codable is going to move, almost like doing a maze. And then they hit go, and they watch how that program executes.
Well, and it's also cool is they can test it as well. So one of the things with programming is coming up with an algorithm that you think solves the problem, but you need to test along the way before you actually execute the code is a good thing to do. And so they are actually putting that into the problems, the way they're solving these problems. And what you're saying, it's a maze. There's other activities as well, a lot of critical thinking skills. I really like this app. It's something we got through our parent partnership, through the teacher. They get kind of like an educator's allotment of licenses. And so it's something that we were able to install, through an app, log in through our teacher. And then our learner's name was one of the available kids. And then we just sign in every single time. And it's super sweet, super cute.
Right.
We've had her do it a half a dozen times now in the past few weeks.
So you can get a free trial of Codable, or it's $7 a month. So not too expensive. It looks like it's $60 for a year. So there's a number of different games. They can make mazes and we have only scratched the surface of what you can do with this app. But if you want to, if you have a young child that's, kinder, first, second, third grade, that you're thinking you would like to get into some coding, maybe check out the free trial of the app and see if this is something that they might like. It's been perfect for, kindergarten. There's no reading really required in it. So,
And very intuitive too. My learner, she did the first one or two. They showed her how to do it, in the app. And then after that, she was off running on her own. So it was really cool to see how the app taught her how to use it, and then she used it. And it's just, it's so intuitive. She has to drag in the...
It's easy for her to figure out.
Yeah, to solve the maze, she has to drag in the algorithm, go to the right, and then go down, and then turn right, and then go up, then turn right. And so she's building this algorithm, and then she can test it, obviously. But I think from the thinking standpoint, it's allowing her to be a little bit more structured in her thinking and how she solves problems and attacks problems. We actually, the robots class has the robot as well. That's part of it.
We'll talk about the robot, I think, here soon on another episode.
Yeah, in another episode, we got a deal on one. She doesn't know about it yet.
It's a Christmas gift.
Yes, she was saving up all her dog money for it, but we don't want to get into that.
No, let's not.
But anyway, we like it. It's kind of interesting. It might be something worth trying out. Try the trial out, see if your learner likes it. I mean, it's pretty reasonable for a month. I don't know. The lifetime thing was like $150. I don't know if that's something you want to pull the trigger on now.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
But it's definitely something worth trying for a month, seeing if they like it, especially if you're using an iPad or you're using some touch device as part of your learner's education, and you're creating, iPad time where they're playing games and activities, and you want those games and activities to be educational and thoughtful. This is a decent little example. Costs a few bucks, but what's the cost? It's the cost of a notebook, cost of a
Yeah.
cup of coffee at Starbucks.
We really like to use the iPad. We do this, and we have a couple other apps, and
Yeah.
we got to get some more experience with them before we talk about them and see what we think. But we use those as a great reward. So if she can
Yes.
get her other work done, then she gets her screen time, and it's really meaningful time working on an app like this. So
It's
yeah.
not just Plants vs. Zombies, Ariel.
Yeah, she's not just playing games. She really likes to fly around on Google Maps too.
Yeah,
So
Google Maps is her favorite
sometimes
thing.
she's learning that way too. But yeah. Anyway, Codable. It's a really cool app. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can check it out. But we've been enjoying it a lot, and I think our daughter has learned a lot of basics about coding and logical structured thought. So
And I think they have some discounts for educators. So if you're part of a co-op or if you're part of a parent partnership, talk with your people, have your people talk to their people, and see if it might be something that you guys can get like a educator's license or something like that. It might be a little bit cheaper
Absolutely.
if you buy together. So take a look at it, try it out, maybe suggest it for your co-op, or maybe if you have a couple other kids that are interested in it, you guys might be able to go in together on it. So
yeah, I think it's a great way to go.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!